Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Mystics of Texas. Today we have a very exciting guest with us. I'll let him make his own introductions, but we are very happy to have him with us. And Mr. Gill, thank you for joining us. It is an honor to have you with us. We are just thrilled and uh, so far you've been staying at the farm as a very welcome guest, and we just love it. We love you and your family, and we appreciate y'all making the journey all the way across the country here. It means a lot to us. And your thought process and your spiritual aura is just phenomenal, and it radiates inside me, and I love it. And I hope that we just have a wonderful conversation, which I know we will. And with that, I'd like for you just to introduce yourself, if you don't mind. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. Wow. I'm honored and I'm humbled, and I am very happy to be here. I'm looking forward to converse, communicate, collaborate, co create. Um, what do you want to know about me? I mean, I can go for the long story or the short story. We're gonna make it short. I was born and raised in Israel, and I moved to the United States some 30 years ago. I stepped on my spiritual path consciously at that time, and I have been training in a variety of modalities and studied with some great masters. And I've developed my own holistic art. At the time, I lived in New York, Manhattan. I had my own practice and developed a holistic art, which I was teaching, doing healing work, hands on healing, counseling. I was doing martial arts and kung fu, qigong, into yoga, into hands on healing, auric healing, and energetic work. I've been studying esoteric methods and systems, and at some point, I closed that and moved to Washington States, to the woods, and to deepen my practice. I felt something was missing for me, and I dug deeper, and then I had a breakthrough experience some 13 years ago, as I was growing with my son and my beloved wife here in the woods in Washington, and I've accessed a state of presence and consciousness that is out of this world. And from there, I started to develop a new medium of communication in which I'm helping us, the human family, in spiritual growth and development. And I've made that my life's mission. I'm dedicated to that path, and so my life is the life of spirit, and I'm here to bring spirit into this world.
Well, what I was going to say is, can you elaborate on bringing the spirit into this world for a lot of people that don't follow you or don't, or just starting on their spiritual path?
Well, sure, before you do that, please mention your own website too, and we'll put it up on the screen.
It's peopleofthereal.com.
Perfect.
Yes. Mama, help me here if what a great question, Trey. Thank you for that. What do I mean by that? This world that we're living in, is an outer and lower vibrational frequency world. We're living in a world of physical, three-dimensional, five sensory perception, expression, and experience. And this is really what we call reality. Everything we interact with here is three-dimensional and physical. And so for us, the world of spirit is not something we are directly experiencing. It's something that is either within the realm of belief or faith. Um, and it is really challenging for an individual here to directly experience spirit. Spirit is something that is mysterious, something that is unknown to us. Some great, of course, great explorers has reached in and found access into that and brought some teachings here that are profound and beautiful and created great breakthroughs when it comes to spirit. But in general, when we understand this world and how it is built, it's important to understand that the spirit capacity of a human being living on Earth is diminished to a minimum extent. And that's purposeful. It's not that we fell out of grace or something is wrong with us, not at all. It's a part of a great design that we are all co-creators of, the design of Source. And there is so much that can be said about that. But when I say bringing spirit here, I mean bringing here through my own individual connection, my own inner spirit force. And in that, I am allowing that to be expressed through me in a way that I have made it as I'm becoming more adept in, if you will, more skillful in. This is a skill that will become one of the most important skills for any individual here on this planet today to develop. And some of us are more developed in that sense, some of us are less. But we are suffering, and I will say it because I've been saying it for a long time. We are suffering here from spiritual dehydration. And when we look at the world and we see what is happening, we can understand that. We can understand that spirit is not fully expressed in this world, not yet. But it is now beginning to make itself known here in a way that has never been done before. And this is really where we're standing as humanity on Earth, and why it is so intense these days here when you look at the world and the chaos that's going on. And so we have a program here, and that program is diminishing our capacity of having a straight and direct connection with spirit. So when I say bringing spirit here, I mean as an individual that found access to spirit and is working 24/7 to allow that spirit force, that essence, that divine intelligence to fully express itself through my humanity, that is a process, and it is a gradual process, and it is designed that way. There is a reason for that and a purpose for that. But I will maybe wrap it up here because I can go on and on and on and on. But I hope it answered somewhat of your question.
If I may, I watched you on, I forget the name of the program, but you were being interviewed, or you were with a group of several other gentlemen, and you were one of the guest speakers. And you started talking about something that really resonated with me about how to bring all the aspects of one's personality, your inner community of people. That we all have a slices of different personalities within us, and I'd like you to explain that philosophy to us, because it's something that I have consciously thought about before, but I never articulated it in such a beautiful and fascinating way as you did. If you wouldn't mind just talking about your own inner things, how you talked about it there, it was fantastic.
Sure. Let's see. When we enter into the time-space, energy and matter realms of consciousness, which is where we're living, and when I say that, I mean, as we step down the vibrational frequency, there is a full spectrum of vibrational frequency. We are ultimately, originally, and authentically, we're all sovereign souls. We are spiritual beings that are unlimited. And we brought ourselves purposefully into limitations. And the limitations occur when we step down vibrational frequency and diminish our frequency into time-space, the time-space that we're living in. And when we do that, our consciousness fragments. And that comes to the question that Kevin asked, is what does it mean for us to put together our own community as individuals? And I use that articulation very carefully, because a human being doesn't understand truly until, of course, opens the portal, opens the heart, and starts to access spirit authentically, originally, as an individual from within, that we're actually fragmented It's like you can say that we have shattered our consciousness and fragmented it, and we are, and that's one of the reasons why we're suffering from spiritual rehydration, because we're living in a world of separation, of fragmentation, disconnection. Um, and it's not really hard to understand once you really listen to your heart a little bit. When you open the heart a little bit and you look at us as a family, and we call ourselves family, we're a human family. But when you look at humanity as a global family, it's not really, you don't need to be spiritually enlightened or a genius to surmise that we are actually separated and that we're suffering from a severe separation. You see different cultures, you see different nations, different groups and tribes and families, and we all have sympathetic groups that are making ourselves strong within the group, but we are actually separated from other groups, and in many ways also feel threatened by other groups, and really feel the need that we to protect ourselves from other groups and from invasions and so on and so forth. And that goes in its extremity, it goes into war, and it's a big problem. It became a big problem now, and it's something that now needs healing and needs restoration. So humanity on Earth as a global family is truly began in this new era that we're entering into, this new chapter that we're all co-writing together. We've entered an era of restoration, of healing, tremendous healing, because as our consciousness shuttered and separated, each and every one of us individually and as a collective, we became fragmented and separated. And we have aspects and components and elements and spheres and fields that are not in alignment with one another. There is a decoherence and therefore a disharmony. And again, all of that is a natural occurrence of that realm of separation that we're living in. And again, there is a reason for that. It's purposeful.
It seems like there's a vibrational disconnect, because whenever we say, I mean, if anybody who's studied any type of science understands and realizes that it is a fact that everything is vibration. Everything, this table, for instance, if you put it under a microscope, you see everything jumping around. That's for our own body. It's for everything. And when we talk about the larger world community or states or cities or whatever, all these little individual groups that are everywhere, the most important thing in my mind is we can't begin to heal as a whole human family until we can understand all the aspects of our own personality, all the different things that dwell and live. I have a couple of obnoxious people that live inside me that want to sprout out sometimes, and then I have some, for lack of a better word, I have a few assholes that live inside me, and I have some really nice people that live inside me, and I like to, as you said, bring them all together at your inner round table and have a conversation with all the slices of your personality, so you can improve yourself. Because if you can improve your own personal state of being, then that reflects and radiates to people around you. And if that can radiate to people around you, and if that benefits one other person, then that person may be able to talk to their inner community and their inner round table and work and grow, and thereby they radiate. And we can slowly start becoming easier on each other. We don't have to be so instantly judgmental. Oh, you have this belief or that belief. Oh, you are a Democrat or Republican, or you're a Muslim or Jew, or whatever. There's all these labels that instantly create all of these false separations when we're all human. We all have to, as Kennedy said, we all breathe the same air, and that is, to me, is very important. You can't go out, I think, and have these preconceived notions of what is good and bad, what is the right belief, the wrong belief. The only thing you can do is dig deep inside here and figure out what is true for you as an individual, and do your best to treat others the way you would like to be treated yourself.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Yes, and the fact that you can admit as an individual already that you have assholes and all kinds of treacherous creatures within you that you are, working on putting together and refining. That is already a very advanced level as an individual. Obviously, you are very intuitive and very naturally already practicing spirituality on a very high level. And so, for example, you're bringing spirit into this world just by admitting that, just by being able to look at it and not reject that or deny that, but really face it, really embrace it. This is really where the practice is. This is really where the process is.
I think that's good that you said that, because facing up to your own problems, admitting it, that is the first step to going anywhere. Because if you can't at least admit that you have those problems in your personality, you're never going to get over it, like ever. I've been personally trying to work on myself in a couple of ways that I feel like I've gotten way too close to creature comforts lately. And I need to start liking the fact of being uncomfortable, because you don't find out anything hard in comfort. Tough heels build muscle. Easy downslopes don't do anything. If you're really going to work on yourself, you got to look inside yourself and see the things that make you uncomfortable, see the things that you don't like, and put yourself forcibly in those situations and say, I really don't want to do this. This isn't comfortable, and I know this way would be more comfortable, but am I going to learn more from this or learn more from that? And maybe try to weed out some of those unsavory characters that I know that I have in my body. Like now, like I'm kind of a little bit tired, but I'm feeling like I'm switching over to the other personality. It's kind of up and upbeat. Like I need to know some things. It's like, a nap would be good right now, but a nap's not going to make me grow spiritually right now. I need to be present in a room and putting forth my energy for everybody in the room here. So.
Yeah, I like to I equate a lot of things to either trading or martial arts, and I think that really what it boils down for me is that I'm trying to take these aspects of my personality that prevent me from fully loving the people that I love, like letting little irritations bother me. I think of it as the inside. I have this good person and a couple of these bad persons, and I'm just doing some. Hey, I gotta who bud you out of the way. I gotta pass you. It's a challenging thing sometimes, and the more you practice it, though, the more you easily see, like, okay, I probably shouldn't have just said that way, or I probably just said something to hurt that person's feelings, and sometimes that's okay. But sometimes that's not okay. Sometimes some people need their feelings hurt.
Well, when you talk about putting it in martial arts, how many times have we been in an uncomfortable wrist lock, or especially Grandmaster Whitlow, and I'm like, I'll do it again, make it hurt. Come on, give it to me. Let me feel that human experience. I think sometimes it's okay to be angry or to let some of those unsavory characters out, because if you don't, then they're just knocking on the door and they're interrupting your round table where we're trying to sit here and talk, and the angry person's knocking at the door, and if you don't let them in, well, they're just going to disrupt the conversation for everybody else.
Well, yeah, they could have their own revolution. I mean, they can take a couple of your other personalities in there and get together and try to beat up on you.
Hey, how do you know what's going on in my head?
Stay out of that. He's clairvoyant.
Yeah, he is.
That's true. Speaking of clairvoyant, I had to touch on this because this was funny. I haven't shared this with Gil, but I had a pretty powerful meditative experience where I had a very strong feeling from just all of it, whatever it is. It just came to me and just told me very specifically that I had it. It was like the the force of knowledge. It was very specific in this meditation, and it said that the Spirit was not going to help me anymore until I learned. This is very specific. Until I learned how to love fat, ignorant people riding on the motorized cart buggies in Walmart. That's exactly what it told me. And I really had to sit back and reflect. It's like, why is this popping into my head, and why won't you not help me? I'm just thinking, in this meditative state, that I have a lot of issues, and I don't think that that's one of them. I don't think that that's one of them. I think that's something I can work on way later. I have other stuff that I need to be doing, and then I just really started thinking about it over a week or two, and I'm like, wow, that really is a big deal. Like, how do I do that? And then I started thinking, well, why don't I like them? Is it economics? Is it? And I was like, no, because I don't care. I care only about somebody's character. I don't care their financial level. That doesn't matter to me. I care about your character. So it wasn't that. And then I thought, well, they don't have a lot of self-respect. So that's sort of it, but not really. Like, I can get over that. So why don't I? How is this hard for me? Like this is a difficult thing. Like, I don't know. And I started thinking about it, and I said, well, the more I thought about it, is that I have viewed them not ever realizing it before, and not ever dwelling on it either. Like, I've never even thought about the people in the carts at Walmart. I've never even thought about them. I don't even understand it. They represent the whole blanket of ignorance that is covered not only the United States, but the entire globe. And those people that live in that level of ignorance and lack of critical thinking, and a huge amount of selfishness. And I viewed them, now that I've come to realize over the past couple of days, as an enemy to global freedom. And to me, now that I've realized why I don't like them, now I don't know how I'm going to figure out how to love them.
Well, lucky that you have a spiritual guru right now on the farm to help you out. This is going to take some really deep therapy. It's going to take a lot of hugs and a lot of drugs, Mr. Schmidt.
I need wine, baby. I need a lot of wine, Gil. I need a lot of wine. Yeah, I don't know, but this is to finish that story, because we were talking about clairvoyance. I told one of my old friends that we were in the Army together 30-something years ago, and I was telling him about this, and he thought it was funny. He said, well, let's go into town. We'll go eat at this restaurant that is right in their parking lots. He shares it with Walmart. He said, let's go have lunch, and let's go stroll in Walmart and see how you do. And I'm like, man, I don't want to go to Walmart. I'm not ready for this trip, man. I'm not ready to go. And it's him and another buddy, and they're just egging me on. I'm like, okay, fine. We'll go love them right now. So,
after a margarita or two.
Right. So we go and have some dinner, but as we drive in, the parking lot is totally under construction. And I thought, well, this is a great sign from the spirit world, because they don't want me to go. So my buddy, he jumps out of the truck, moves the cones, and we drive around into the parking lot. And then as we go to leave, we had to circle around a few times. And the interesting thing about that is the next morning, me and Jill have been practicing writing down our dreams. And been talking about our dreams. And before we go to sleep, we give the intent of let's remember our dreams in the morning. And if we can, let's talk about it, what we experienced in the dream state that night. And if we have time and remember what they are, we'll write them down. Well, the next morning, she was telling me her dream. She goes, I had a dream. Who, you can tell me. What'd you say?
Oh, well, so he didn't tell me anything about the parking lot. I just knew he went to Walmart, so I don't know if that's what spurred my dream. So we're in bed that evening, and I'm telling him about my dream, a couple of them that I had, and I said, so the only thing I really remember about one of them was that I was in a Walmart we were in a Walmart parking lot together in the car. It was completely under construction, and I had to, like, they were putting these roundabouts in it. It was the weirdest thing, and he was like, did you go to the Pines Road Walmart? I was like, no. And he was like, it's totally under construction. And I was like, mind blown. I was like, what? That is so weird.
And I had to do roundabouts in order to get back into the parking lot. And I was like, oh, wow, that is a very big clairvoyant thing, because I felt like I needed Jill with me. And I was thinking of Jill a lot going in, and I was like, man, because Jill gives me a really calming peace inside. She makes all the people that I don't like inside myself like just shut up. And I was thinking, man, I really need her to go into Walmart with me. This is just going to be too tough. I'm going to be too judgmental right out of the gate, you know. And so that was something. We've had a lot of those kind of unexplainable clairvoyant type things happen with us a lot. Trey's starting to, and but for me, it's been like, wow, like what is happening here? This is weird. If I heard somebody else say some of the things that have happened to me, I would think you're a little crazy.
It's okay. We all think you're a little crazy too.
It works out great.
All right, so now we need some input from the professional on this whole story we just heard. What do you make of this? Go ahead, give us your best Dr. Phil right now.
It's profoundly beautiful when you get those messages, you know, and you listen to them, and then you start to realize how unconscious it is. You know, where you have reflections everywhere. You know, we're living in a house of mirrors, and it's a shuttered house of mirrors, again, due to the fragmentation of consciousness. You know, we see bits and parts of ourselves, really, but there is no mirror that reflects the whole. Not anywhere you're going to look in this world. If you look from the eyes of the ego mind, which we all are, which is what our brain-eye system is trained to perceive through the five senses, we see bits and pieces of ourselves. We see fractures of ourselves. And that is bringing a lot of judgments, and a lot of criticisms, because this one is ugly, and this is this, and this one. Oh, why is he so fat? Why is he so ugly? Why is she so noisy? What the? And it's always a projection of ego mind, and it's coming from a split mind, from the shuttered lower mind, and it creates a shallow heart. And the shallow heart is processing those perceptions, and it builds accumulating layers of density in our consciousness. It actually creates clouds, like dark clouds. These are really shadows and echoes that follow us from the past, and it is, and I call it the brown book. It's the brown book is the book where we write our history, and that shallow heart and lower mind, that ego, is scribing those stories that we make, and those stories are full of hardship and full of suffering and pain and struggle and hard work. It is the emotional history from the perspective of our ego mind. And it's a projection, and we look through glasses. It's glasses that we have. And imagine if, you know, those virtual realities, when you put those, you know, and you sit, and if someone looks at you from the side, you're like, wow, oh! And like, what the? He's just sitting on a chair. What's going on there? Right. But for the one who is with the thingy on, he's engaging with a virtual reality that's three-dimensional, and it becomes real. Yeah? And if you keep that on that person, say for a day, say for a week, or a month, you never take it off, what will happen to that person? If you really keep it there, not telling them, just
I think we're going to find out.
He's actually going to believe that he is that character that's playing in that virtual reality. This virtual reality ultimately will become his reality. He will forget that he's sitting on a chair with an equipment right on his head, and he is engaging with a virtual reality that's not real. But for him, the longer you're going to keep him there, it's going to become more and more real. And why is that? Because the brain does not differentiate between what is imagined and virtual and between what is real. It's just processing the information, and it builds neurological environments that hardwires that reality. And as it interacts with that reality and reacts to it, it becomes emotional with it. And it starts to develop thought processes in accord with that reality. That becomes the consciousness in which that person lives. Take that and apply it to our world. This is exactly what's going on with us.
For sure.
It's just that the headset is not outside, that we can just do this and take it off. It's inside our unconscious collective mind and our subconscious individual mind.
Well, you sure are good at giving me visuals, because, man, as you're telling all those stories, I'm walking through a glass house and I'm starting to see mirrors that are shattered when you're saying it, and clouds are going over the top, and I've got a brown book, and I don't know if I'm not in virtual reality right now. That was like really good storytelling. I don't know if everybody else got the extreme visuals that I did, but, man, that was really quite wonderful. Like, it really, just sitting back and listening to it. And as I'm seeing these clouds come over this room, and I'm trying to see your Walmart thing over there through your eyes, but they're really through my eyes, the way that you've described it, man, it's that adds a whole nother layer of complexity to the way that everyone sees everything. Because if you really are going through this glass house, and there's shattered glasses here, and then you have a storm coming in, and then everybody's looking at their own glass house, and everybody has their own storm, and you occasionally pass each other. Man, that's a really strange concept to think about.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think I've given this a considerable amount of thought over the past year about how we perceive reality is just a little sliver of what reality is. You know, our five senses are so limited.
Yes.
You know, there is infinity right here.
Yes.
I can break down this chunk of space right here to infinity.
Absolutely.
And into the cosmos, into infinity. And it's fascinating, and I've been so intrigued and just enraptured by the discoveries of Nathan Harriman and his physics of how everything is connected, and how he has proven through the smallest measurable frequency movement of the Planck, and how that is filled in the space between all of us, and how we transfer energies back and forth, and how some people may be able to know my experience and has a dream about it, or whether me and Trey are practicing remote viewing and he knows what he put in the thing for me to try to see what it is. But I get it, like I see it, like how does that happen? And science is even beginning to prove how that is a true thing. You know, this little slice we see, there's so much more, and that is really a virtual reality set, because our minds, kind of like Donald Hoffman, another scientist, likes to say that we have these five senses to help this grouping of cells that are all doing so many different things outside of our consciousness. Our five senses are allowing us to just survive. Only survive. They're tools for this grouping to survive. So if this grouping is surviving, the reason for the grouping is to open up and allow all of the information that is everywhere to be absorbed inside of us, and feel it inside and find truth for ourselves, not in some dogmatic religious book or some other thing that creates more and more separations.
Yes.
That's what I had to say about that.
Thank you. I mean, it's so wonderful to sit in with such intelligent beings that can open their hearts and minds and really start to bring new information here. This is what we need here. We need to bring new dimension into a human conversation that can stretch beyond the mundane and beyond these confined, like you beautifully described, Kevin, narrow bandwidth of vibrational frequency of perception, because that is what keeps us in limitation, that is what keeps us in disease, in illness, that is what keeps us in brokenness and trauma and dysfunctionality as a human family. It's not really, again, not hard to see when you look at the human global family to see that we're a dysfunctional family.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't need to be a genius, really. And we must ask ourselves, if we're really sincere, if we're really responsible family members, we must ask ourselves why, what are the reasons, and how come with all these developments and all the technology and all the science and all that we are constantly evolving, and how come we're still so emotionally retarded to a level of which we can step and kill our own brother or sister for whatever reason, for a belief system? Or how come we have those tendencies, and we don't just have those tendencies, we didn't even learn how to control them, how to refine them, so that regardless of differences of belief or color or race or nationality, we didn't find a way to weave it in harmony and to live in peace and harmony. How come?
Well, I think from a very early age, and which is one of the primary evils of compulsory education, is you take away the youth from their parents at a very young age, because the parents have to live their life in such a way to provide income and sustenance for the family, and then entrust others to raise their children. And when you have that, the parent either doesn't know or doesn't have the time to give those gifts of understanding, to help their child sit down with themselves alone and put together their own round table at a very young age and start to work through all of their issues from the beginning. That those kind of conversations never come up. They just don't. When I was going to school from kindergarten to 8th grade or so in a Baptist Christian school, well, the only thing you're taught is just pray to Jesus, and Jesus is going to solve it for you, or Jesus is going to help you. Well, that's a cop-out to me. I find it personally insulting to the human mind and spirit. Like, it's just, okay, I'm going to do that, but it doesn't address all of my urges. It doesn't address my positive and negative passions. It doesn't help me to figure out how to drive myself in such a way that is beneficial to me and everybody around me. It's just, believe in Jesus and you're good. You know, you can do whatever you want to do, but as long as you say, save me, Jesus, I'm good. St. Peter's going to let me in, and who cares how I live my life? It doesn't matter, because I'm going to heaven. We can have the apocalypse. Woo! Can't wait to the end of the world. Woo! We can go see some Jesus. It's kind of insulting.
Well, I think a big portion of that, especially put your faith in Jesus, is because it's so much easier to seek pleasure as a human. We know things that find pleasure. It's easy to seek pleasure, and it's really hard to see the things that make us angry or make us suffer, and to put yourself in those situations. To say that find Jesus and he'll help you with that problem, I don't know if that's so much as a cop-out as that people, especially the people that are teaching these young kids, they've never put in the effort to find comfortability in their own uncomfortability. They've not put forth the effort to find themselves. So they're just as much of a pleasure seeker as anybody else. Sure. So they say, all right, we'll go down this road and find pleasure in your solace in this, instead of actually looking at the problem and working towards fixing that problem, go towards the easiest route. Like Gil said earlier with technology, why have we not used technology to make great advances in unifying the human experience? Well, because all that stuff's still really hard. It's easy to get on your phone and find pictures that make you happy. Like the whole internet is full of cat videos and porn. Like those things make people happy. Most of the internet, this technology that we've used, is to make you happy. Or one thing that I brought up in our conversation last time is that when we go out and we meditate, we find this music that helps us meditate. Well, I think that limits the meditation experience, because instead of being outside and being on the ground and hearing the wind blow through the trees and the birds chirping and feeling the presence and the vibrations of the ground, instead of doing that, you're hearing this alternate vibration come through. You're hearing this come out of a speaker that's been channeled from who knows where. You're getting this other vibration, this other information, but it's making you happy. So we're using this technology as a crutch only to seek pleasure, and we're not using the technology to advance ourselves and find things that are hard. Again, walking uphill, that builds muscle. It's so much easier to go downhill, to just fall right into the pleasure centers, to say, oh man, look at the sports game that I just found the score for, or there's problems in all over the world, but let's go see if we can find a travel documentary on Venice because it's beautiful. Let's not forget all the problems that they've had. Let's look at how they fixed these problems, how they built a city off of little bitty sticks. And all that stuff is amazing, and it's fun, and it's much easier to seek pleasure than to really sit down and work on those problems. And I think that's one trap that humanity has fallen into.
I think even further, because you've mentioned this a couple of times in other videos, of what we're doing is because we're taking this technology, and the starting point of the technology is already flawed from man's own personal flaws.
Yeah, of course.
So we're not engaging in discussions and ways to help us be whole just within ourselves. We're taking this technology and just using it as something else, another crutch to use, which could have been anything else. But now we're taking this to a whole nother level, and even creating further separation from our own personal round table that's inside of ourselves.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're taking, the worst guy over here that's going, oh man, I need to go watch another hour of porn. This guy over here is like, oh, I'm in there, let me out. That's or you have the other guy going, oh, I need to go spend the rest of the day watching this football game. And it's so easy. It's such a massive distraction, and all it is one button. All it is one there, and then all of a sudden,
that's what makes it so hard.
And then you're engulfed in this system of personal division within yourself, which ultimately reflects back, because I think we all are reflections of each other, and that is making the problem even worse. I think so.
Yes. It's so it's essential that we understand basically and fundamentally what is the reason for that, because there is, again, it's due to us living in that virtual reality for so long, having those headsets inside our minds, not outside. That cannot be taken with the hands. It can also not be taken in one night or in one experience or in one vision or a glimpse or even a profound breakthrough experience. It can start there, but it is a process. There are layers upon layers upon layers from our emotional history that are layered in our consciousness and keeping us confined and keeping us focused into that virtual reality. And everything that enters into that reality, be it a magnificent piece of technology or an idea or whatever it is, will immediately be processed within that virtual reality, unless we open the portal to what I call the real. Once you have the first breakthrough, and you start to open the portal suddenly, you have a glimpse into the real, you start to remember. You see, we forgot. We forgot that we're living in a virtual reality. We forgot what real is, how real really feels. We forgot. And so everything is within that context of the five senses, three-dimensional, physical, emotional, and mental, very narrow bandwidth of vibrational frequency. This is our perception, this is our expression, and therefore it is our life experience. We are sentient vibrational beings. And our main food, before we drink anything or before we eat anything.
I might have to disagree with you.
Welcome. Disagreeing is wonderful. As long as we find way to weave our disagreement in harmony. Right. You see, if we disagree with each other and we don't need to be afraid to disagree. No. It's natural. We have our own perspectives and views, and we're very unique, and it's beautiful. Sometimes we'll disagree. The problem is when we disagree and we go into war because we disagree. That's the problem. The problem is not to disagree. Disagreeing is natural. We have our own perspective. We're unique. You have your own community and round table. I have my own. You have your own. And it's true for each and every individual. And sometimes we don't see in the same way, and it's beautiful. That's what makes the garden so versatile and diverse and beautiful. If all the flowers in the garden would be the same, it would be a bit boring. Yeah. The beauty is that each flower is unique. It gives a unique fragrance, and it gives a unique color. And so the emotional experience is unique, it's versatile. The whole beauty of life is unity in diversity. That's our university, our real university of life, where we really learn and study and gain real knowledge, real information, real wisdom, is when we accept unity in diversity. The problem here is that we see the diversity, but we see the diversity in separation. We don't see the unity. That's what we lost.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can see it with everywhere. You can see it really prominently in Texas, just within the Christianity sect. You know, when somebody's Baptist, or somebody is Methodist, or somebody is Catholic. So all of a sudden they don't like, those other groups. Or now all of them don't like Muslims. Or, I'm being overly general here, but I mean, it's a pretty accurate statement that everybody creates all these separations, and for what? I mean, for what? Ultimately, we breathe the same air.
Yes. And that goes back to the question of what do you mean by bringing spirit into this world? Or back to the question of talking about the personal community and how do we put it together? This is really how we bring spirit into this world, is when we start to open that portal and we start to see, instead of through the glasses of the ego mind, which is a split, polarized, dual mind, and therefore it creates a perception of separation, and like a fissure in our mind. It's a chasm. Here is your body, here's my body, and there is a space between us. We're separated, okay? We're different. That's a lie.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lie. It's a lie of a virtual reality. It is so much so a lie that we got used to, that for us is real. And for us, if we disagree, we might even go into a fight about that, because we will try to conform each other to what we believe in.
Yes, definitely.
If you don't believe in what I believe in, you're bad. And if you get me really crazy, I might...
I might help you.
Exactly. Because you should really believe in what I believe, because it will save us.
Yeah, of course, we're all right.
So I want to help you, and by helping you, I'm going to force myself on you, and I'm going to impose my will on your will, because you are inferior to me, because you believe differently, and my belief is the belief of God. This is the problem. This is what that shattered mirror creates. We must understand that. And when we do, this is when we start to crack through these walls and layers and start to develop an inner vision. It is an inner gaze that stops at nothing. It doesn't stop at the form that is in time and space. When we look at ourselves here physically, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different individuals that are separated in time and space. We can get up right now and walk in different ways until we don't see each other. And if we decide, we will never talk with one another. Why? Because you pissed me off.
Yeah.
You're out of my life. That's easy, it's comfortable, and the ego gets to really thrive on that. Okay? This is when we are having the attitude, we develop an attitude of divide and conquer. This is when we develop attitudes like invade, separate, and control. And you see it everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. These are all lies. These are all projections of the ego mind. These are all reflections coming from time space that reflects to us this shuttered mirror. And we believe in it. Why? Because we've been in that virtual reality for so long. Eons upon eons, guys. Reincarnations. We've been reincarnated time and time again into different bodies, into different nations, into different cultures, but all within this shuttered mirror. And all that we know is to project, judge, and there is a tremendous underlying tension. We always feel like we need to protect ourselves. We don't trust. We don't trust anyone, because we've been betrayed how many times? Every one of us here, whether we know it or not, carry this betrayal and lack of trust. I need to build ourselves really strong here so we can withstand all of those attacks. But this is all lies. This is not who and what we are. That's bringing spirit here is starting to bring from that inner higher vibrational frequency ocean and core spring fountain through transmissions, through channeling. We must learn how to do that, because this will start to remove those glasses layer by layer. It's like peeling an onion. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a gradual, and that's why it takes practice. And this is the new practice of the new era for me. When I had my experience and had my breakthrough, after 20 years of already practicing, studying, learning, meditating, teaching others, doing counseling, doing healing, and I had wonderful results, but I felt something was missing. And what was missing for me is to understand the wall. Is to understand that between my inner and higher spirit essence self, my sovereign soul, which is my unlimited, immortal, eternal being, and between my outer and lower instrument, which is my ego mind, human personality, there is a wall. There is an interface zone. And in that interface zone, this is where the equipment is on our mind. And we are focused. We're disconnected from the inner higher. And we're focused on the outer lower. So our responsibility, as far as I'm concerned, as individuals that are truly intent on shifting, turning this thing around here, creating a world where we can all have differences, but not fight for them. Why? Because we start to bring some clear waters into this desert that is becoming increasingly more toxic for us if we continue like that. Yeah? But it's not enough to have the intent, a good intent. It's important that we start to understand how to use our inner, higher faculties, capabilities, and technologies. This is outer, lower technology. It's wonderful once we use it appropriately. For example, how we use it right now. This is a wonderful way to use this. Beautiful, because look what we do with this conversation. This conversation is not just staying within this room, because Spirit is taking this through quantum entanglement and through quantum presence, And it shares it with the whole of humanity right now through our DNA, through our quantum presence, through our deeper hearts and higher minds and light bodies. By the way, we all have those.
For sure.
So the inner and higher realm, we have our deeper heart, our higher mind, we have our sovereign soul, and we have our light body. This is a whole, complete unto itself. This is what we are. Then we have the instrument of experience in the lower field. That's this human. It's a biological, emotional, and mental apparatus, vehicle, spacesuit that the complete self is using to experience the realms of separation. And here comes a big question. Why? Why would we do it to ourselves? Because obviously, no one really did it to us. We did it to ourselves. We must take responsibility here, right? We forgot purposefully. We lost that connection purposefully. Why? Because it gives us an authentic exploration into the lower fields of vibration. If we would, from the beginning, keep that connection and not lose it, we would long ago take those, break them right on the table and say, the heck with that, no more. That gives us an authentic durability into those realms, because what we're learning, the wisdom we gain from separation is unparalleled. Because we shape unique character through that, through this pressure cooker of the shattered mirror. It's a catalyst. We're catalyzed to learn how to live in survival, and then to learn how to bring spirit here. Then to learn how to open up again, remember, but not turn around and leave that behind. No. Not ascend into a pink cloud and be free from human suffering. No. That's not the reason. The reason is to bring it here and to do a fusion. So this is now we're awakening the alchemist of consciousness. And now in that interface zone, we are removing the separator, the treacher, which is our ego mind, personality. It's pretending to be God. It's pretending to be a savior. It's pretending to tell us, I'm going to do everything to protect you. You're going to be fine. Just continue to believe in me and everything will be good. But it's a treacher. It's an imposter. But we created it. It's a part of our community, right? So not by condemning it, not by fighting it, not by warring against it, not by trying to kill it or hack it, we're going to resolve the problem. We tried. We just have to remember how many times in our history we tried to rebel, to fight, to war, to hack the enemy's head. And we did have periods of quiet, but only periods, only temporarily. Because spilled blood never rests. Never rests. It will come around and it will bite us in the ass, and it will bite us in the neck, and it will bite us everywhere until we find love for the most treacherous creatures that we couldn't even stand being around. Not for 1 second. Until we learn love, but not love not love as humanity know it. Love as spirit knows it. This is bringing spirit here. And this will heal and restore our personal communities within ourselves when we do it personally. And then that will spill over into the world. And it will heal and restore that world. And that will bring the solutions that even though we are not different, not separated and different, we're unique. So essential to understand the distinction between being different and being unique. And we're all unique. There is not one like you in the whole of the multiverse.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And true for you and me and each and every one. We're unique, but we're not different. We're one and the same essence. We're one and the same spirit.
That was really well said, and you know, I just find you fascinating to listen to, and I love having you here. And we're gonna stop this video at this point. And if you guys want to listen to more of Gil, you will find him on all of our channels from BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, and we're gonna have a lot more of Gil and Mr. Schmidt over there, and everybody else that has joined us here. So thank y'all for joining us. Please come back and see us. This is a fantastic gentleman to be engaged in, because I think we can all take away nuggets of wisdom from him. So, Gil, thank you once again. And
Thank you.
Mr. Schmidt, sign us out.
All right. Hope you enjoy the program. Thanks for joining us, Gil, and have a good day.